13, please.
On authorizing the mayor to submit a request for proposal for a parking meter management system, Phase 1, to be installed in the Fondren area.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or concerns?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could someone explain to us what's all included with this item?
I'll pass that to Dr. Blaine. This represents the first phase of parking meters to be installed. We talked about it significantly. Councilman Stamps, at the work session raised a few questions. He wanted to know why we were choosing this location and not doing the other ones. We said we were choosing this location because this represents an opportunity to add, while we're deciding on the parking meters that best suit us, that we own as a city. We felt we could do so by adding to an area where there are not parking meters and phase in the change of pre-existing parking meters so we don't lose revenue while we're making that change. But this is only to issue the RFP. This is not the selection of any particular group. We've met with several groups over the course of the last year and a half. I was joking that I could give a dissertation on parking. We've met with so many people to talk about different opportunities. And so this represents the RFP to be put forward.
Okay, now this RFP, we're trying to find a company who's going to put the parking meters in Fondren.
The first phase would be for the Fondren area.
Okay, would the same company do other parts of the city?
The option for that company to be able to do other parts of the area. This is for specifically parking meters that accept both credit cards, cash payments, and app-based payments. And so this is for a modern parking system. This would allow us, the phase 1 is going to be a regular 2-year contract, but it also will allow us a period of time to study how the parking system is being used, and to be able to provide a phase 2 for either the same company or another company to bid on for the rest of the one-line project.
Now, what will happen to the city of Jackson parking enforcement people?
They will still be there. This would add rigor to our parking system. It will allow technology so that they will, for example, not have to walk to every meter, but would be able to look on an app and see where people are parked legally and where people have their time has expired. All of that would be on an app-based system. It would also give the possibility of parking systems where we would be able to augment our own parking enforcement through parking meters that will automatically register when the time has elapsed and immediately send a request for payment to the person as well.
Councilman Stokes, we're not outsourcing this. One of the principal things that we were concerned with is being able to maintain this in-house. And so if there's any change that may take place with the workforce that we have checking the parking meters, it may increase. We don't look at it based on the fact that we will be looking to expand more to greater territory.
Now, in terms of meters that we currently have throughout the city, our enforcement people, our crews would make repairs and everything. This that we're voting on tonight is RFP for Fondren.
Yes.
Have we done a study or looked at other areas?
Absolutely.
Near the Capitol?
Yes.
You know, it's a lot of places that...
There are slightly over 6,400 parking stalls in the city of Jackson, and we've done a study of every single parking stall in the city.
So is that going to be part of this
equation?
That's
exactly right.
That
yes.
the RFP is...
The RFP focuses on phase 1, which is Fondren, but phase 2 would incorporate these other parts of the city that you're referring to.
What's your time frame?
The time frame for phase 1 is to be able to issue the RFP by the 1st of December, have a 30-day response time, which would allow us to be able to award a contract around the 1st of the year with a 30-day implementation period. That would move us through the beginning of February. Then we're looking at a 3-month evaluation period, after which would move us through the month of April. At the end of that evaluation period, we would look at the awarding of a contract for the rest of the city.
Okay, now, finally, Mr. President, the boundaries of Fondren has been different. People have different ideas.
Sure.
What boundaries are we using for these meters?
So we're fundamentally looking at the areas of State Street, Dueling, and
I think
yes,
The downtown
going
district of Fondren.
right, the downtown district of Fondren, essentially is what we're talking about. The triangle area of Fondren.
You said, would you repeat them again?
State Street, Dueling, and what's Mitchell Street.
Okay, we're going now. Some of these streets, there's currently no meters at all. I don't think any.
there are
at
no
all.
meters in
There are
Fondren,
no
period.
meters
I'm talking
anywhere in
about
Fondren.
park and neither.
That's right.
So, how many meters total are you talking about putting
We're between 100 and 200 meters total
in that
in that area.
triangle?
That's right.
That's good. That's quite a few meters.
That's not quite a few meters. There's 6,400 meters in the city, so this would be a small percentage of that.
You're saying 200 meters
Less than 200 meters
on State Street.
between that triangle area. Yes.
Is it going to affect the hotel, the new hotel that's coming up?
It is something that has been researched, and the business community of Fondren are looking forward to it. They want to see more turnover in those spaces so that they have shoppers instead of just people who may be going to the medical center that are students and parking in the area. So.
Councilman
I
Stokes.
would like to make one correction.
Councilman Banks is trying to.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Kumar informed me that there are slightly over 80 parking spaces in that triangle area.
It was going to be 80 instead of 200.
Yeah, it's less than 100
thank you.
spaces. Yes.
All right, Councilman Banks.
Yeah, I just want to say one. I just want to say to my colleague, Councilman Stokes, if I'm hearing the administration correctly, this is an area that has not had any parking meters. So it's an opportunity for us to actually increase what we're collecting, but also an opportunity for us to try out new technology, correct, to see how to. So I really want to commend you all for doing this. I think that there are areas that we can expand what we're collecting, when we're collecting, and actually getting our parking meters up. When I go to Nashville and stay downtown the hotel at the Marriott Nashville, I'm paying $50 or $30 a day. And, so I want to commend y'all for this. I think this will be a good look and a good sample, whatever you call it.
Councilman Tillman, do you have
Yes, it was also mentioned yesterday, Councilman Stokes, had we taken a few steps backwards when we were dealing with the Seaman contract and just experimented in certain areas until we got everything working, then went global, citywide, we would have been better off today.
Mr. Stokes, yeah.
How much money are we projecting that this would generate?
We don't know how much money it would generate because there is no parking in that area of town. So the reason that we want to be able to study this for 3 months is to be able to see what the impact is, and then to be able to use that as a way to gauge how we would move across the rest of the city.
Okay, let me maybe say it a different way. I know there's some projection. There got to be some ideas. How much are we going to charge at these meters?
Our current rate is 25 cents an hour for parking. We would want to change that rate so that it's commensurate with. And there is actually a.
That's fine. Thank
Okay.
Okay, couple of things. At the meeting yesterday, I said it was unusual to get permission to issue an RFP, and I want to say I think it was very useful that you've chosen to do it this way because it allowed there to be some response from citizens at this stage in the process that wouldn't have come until you had already done an RFP and selected a contractor. So I want to commend you guys for taking this approach. That's been very useful. Secondly, we've had some of the business owners in that area express to us concern about this plan. They've expressed concern that to the extent their businesses have, these two spaces go with this business, these two spaces go with that business, that moving to this metered structure would impair their business, and that there is some division within the business community. And I'm not sure how valid that is or not, but we did get presented with some business owners expressing those concerns. So I'm going to vote in favor of you guys moving forward and doing the RFP, but I'd ask that you circle back around with the business owners that we have that reached out to council members over the last 48 hours. And I'd like to maybe hear back from you guys about the results of those conversations before you pick a vendor.
If I could,
Sure.
one of the benefits of an app-based system is that businesses are actually able to buy, for example, a pass that would solidify a stall for that business. It can even create something of a concierge service for a business, in that there's or rather a valet service, not concierge, valet service for the business. And so there are a number of ways that moving to an app-based system would allow lots of flexibility for businesses. And much of the conversation that we've had with the Fondren area is actually requesting more parking meters so that they can create more turnover. One of the challenges that they're having in this area of the city is that UMMC is directly across the street, and there are many students that would park for free in front of a business and then walk to UMMC and actually tie up what is a stall that would be used for turnover in front of that business for the duration of the day. And I think that Dr. Kumar has some comments to this as well.
You guys.
I just want to mention that part of the evaluation criteria that we're putting for the RFP, that we're going to look at three very important things. One is the total maximized revenue that we can look at. We also want to look at the turnover ratios and at what price point can we generate the turnover that businesses prefer. And the third thing is that we want to relieve the congestion for parking itself. And so those are the three main criteria we're going to use to do the evaluation process, so that we can come up with not only the best system that is available, but also the price point which helps us maximize all three goals.
Okay, great. Council Lady Lindsay and then Councilman Banks.
Yes, I think the most important thing we can do is have a communication plan with the businesses so they fully understand all of the things that you're saying tonight. I've gotten many complaints even before I took office about the fact that you have students and faculty at UMMC that park in front of these businesses and they tie up a parking place for 10 hours or 8 hours. And so that is a real concern. But I also do think we have to be very sensitive to the very small business, and we just make sure they understand, and we've got a real communication plan that we can implement through the business community there. So thank you very much for thinking about those things, and appreciate it.
Councilman Banks.
No, I just want to say, again, I commend to look at this. You look at cities like Nashville, this not just in their downtown district, but in the whole city where there's a lot of traffic and there's curbside parking that could be advantageous. They have meters available, and a lot of these businesses want to make sure their infrastructure and those streets are resurfaced and potholes are filled, and so that investment to allow the city to put that parking meter there. And I want to challenge, Dr. Blaine, Mayor, to look at it around the whole city. I'm looking at something on McDowell Road where there's a lot of businesses, that will help, as far as revenue and everything, because, from what I hear Dr. Kumar communicating, that our whole city going to have districts kind of all over where people can go and shop, that type of stuff. And Nashville's the same way. It's not just downtown. You can go, 10 miles south, and there are areas where there are parking meters, and, they have nice little eating restaurants, that type of stuff like that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
To that point, and I thank you, Councilman Banks, if there are any recommendations going forward of areas that you think would benefit from some, then we can do a study and really look into that. We need to increase our revenue and our collectibles as a city, and so all that we can do, we're going to do so. And at the same time, we're not going to gouge people, but at this point, it makes sense. It makes sense for the business community. It makes sense that we take in revenue that is sitting there waiting for us, and I believe that we can go a little higher than 25 cents an hour. All right, I think that it's time that we choose, and I would rather pull that lever as opposed to other things like raising people's property taxes every time we need money.
All right. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? Item carries. Next item.